This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, and thanks for joining another educational short on the Realistic Sustainability Podcast. This week, we're going to dig into what makes up your carbon footprint. And is carbon all we really care about? A carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions caused by an individual, an event, or an organization, a service, or a product. I also want to remind you that a greenhouse gas is something that helps reflect energy back in. So a lot of times you hear things like climate change or global warming. Climate change is a result. Global warming is a collection of energy. So as some of these emissions don't radiate out, they continue to make the planet warmer. So when they talk about greenhouse gases, they're expressed in equivalent to CO2. So most of the time, people talk about carbon dioxide. Why is carbon dioxide the main point? Is because it's so widely emitted. It's the highest volume. 81% of greenhouse gases are CO2. They're not the most potent, but they're the most abundant and the easiest to control. What else is a greenhouse gas? Well, methane, for an example, is a greenhouse gas. That is released during the production of coal, gas, oil. It's also released by livestock and landfills. Methane is about 25% more potent than carbon dioxide. So if released at a higher amount, which currently is only 10%, it could really do some damage. But it's not the only ones out there. Nitrous oxide, that's given off through water treatment, combustion of fossil fuels, and waste, is 7% of our emissions and are 300 times more potent in our atmosphere. There is also fluorinated gases, which are generally released by industrial practices. This is what started to cause the problems with ozone. Those are highly regulated because they can be anywhere between 1,000 to 20,000 times as potent as carbon dioxide. Luckily, they only make up 3% of our greenhouse gases. But if that grew quickly, we would have a big, big problem. The one thing you don't hear in here very often is water vapor. Water vapor is actually one of the more potent greenhouse gases. But in a normal water cycle, it's not that big of a deal as it rotates through its process where it filters the water. But as the planet gets warmer, more and more water vapor end up in the atmosphere, amplifying the heat. Obviously, industry needs to take the lead on this. Industry is primarily the cause of a lot of the emissions. And I mean industry as in not just your manufacturing plants, but the fact that we have agriculture. Large agriculture is a huge, huge contributor to these greenhouse gases. Even though industry should take the lead, we can do our part too. Our goal is to look and see how can we reduce the amount of carbon in our footprint. Well, we can eat lower on the food chain. Have a lot more salads than a lot more meat. Buy local. Make sure the stuff you bought that was local was made local or grown local. So locally sourced products. Buy in bulk. Go get it less. So you have less delivery, less pickup. Reduce your personal waste. And I mean that through all the household waste. Don't leave the lights on. If you've got scraps, throw them in the garden. Buy less stuff. That's one of the biggest things that Americans can do. We buy a tremendous amount of items, especially single-use items. We can greatly reduce that. And if you do buy stuff, use it up. Use it until it can't be used anymore. And if you don't want it, give it to someone who will use it. If you don't know a single person who will use that item, give it to like Goodwill or a church where they can give it to someone who will. Use less energy? That's the gimme. We always know to use less energy. We just have to be mindful and make sure that we do it. And you can even walk more, drive less. You'd be amazed how good that is for your health, first of all. And second of all, it really does help reduce your carbon footprint. If you can work from home, do it. If you have to go uptown, just walk. It is much better overall. This list is actually endless. There are thousands of things we can do. Just reduce our carbon footprint. But you can't do them all at once. Pick one. Pick one and practice it. We can't change the world on a Tuesday. But we can through examples and time. Little bit, big bit. Just keep making those changes. Just keep reducing your carbon footprint and pass it on to your children. It's the best thing we can do. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this show. And if you did, share it with a friend. Post it on social media. If you think I missed something or I made a mistake, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your support. And I'll see you next week.